The story begins with an unexpected and catastrophic event that shook both the military and civilian worlds. The sudden flash floods that overwhelmed Israeli military positions and tragically claimed the lives of 8,000 soldiers. When discussing such a large-scale disaster, it's important to understand both the natural forces at play and the military conditions that left these soldiers vulnerable. Flash floods are among the deadliest natural disasters because they occur with little warning, moving with enormous speed and carrying massive amounts of water, mud, and debris. In a matter of minutes, what appears to be a dry riverbed or a calm low-lying area can transform into a raging torrent, capable of sweeping away vehicles, structures, and even heavily trained troops caught off guard. From a military standpoint, armies are trained to prepare for enemy attacks, airstrikes, cyber threats, and conventional warfare. But nature often proves to be the most unpredictable adversary. The geography of the region is a key factor here. Israel, while technologically advanced and militarily prepared, also has desert landscapes, valleys, and wadis that act as natural channels for rainwater. During rare but intense storms, these channels can funnel water at terrifying speed, creating conditions where soldiers stationed in vulnerable zones find themselves trapped. With troops possibly concentrated in training camps, supply convoys, or temporary deployments, the sudden onrush of water would have caught thousands without adequate escape routes. What makes this tragedy even more striking is the scale. Losing 8,000 soldiers in a single incident is a devastating blow to any military, not just in terms of manpower, but also morale, operational readiness, and long-term strategic stability. To put that number into perspective, many modern militaries worldwide would consider such losses comparable to entire brigades or divisions being wiped out instantly. For Israel, which relies heavily on a strong and technologically superior military for its national security, the human cost of such a disaster cannot be overstated. Examining the technical aspects of flash floods reveals why they are so deadly. Unlike seasonal flooding, which rises gradually, flash floods surge with extreme force. A flow of water, moving at only a few feet per second, can sweep a person off their feet, while currents strong enough to carry entire armored vehicles can develop in certain terrains. Soldiers in full combat gear, burdened with heavy packs, weapons, and protective clothing, would be at an even greater disadvantage when trying to escape rapidly rising water. Add to that the confusion of a large unit spread across wide terrain, limited communications, and perhaps poor weather visibility, and the chances of survival drop dramatically. The design of military infrastructure in flood-prone areas also plays a role. Barracks, field camps, and supply depots built in low-lying terrain or near wadis are highly exposed. While military engineers often plan for potential natural hazards, the unpredictability of extreme weather events, especially those fueled by climate change, means that traditional safety margins may no longer be enough. With climate patterns becoming increasingly volatile, armies worldwide are facing new challenges in ensuring the safety of their troops, not only from combat threats but from environmental disasters as well. Another unique aspect to consider is the chain reaction such an event sets off. The loss of thousands of trained personnel means years of investment in recruitment, training, and specialization wiped out in moments. Armored units, artillery crews, communications specialists, medics, and officers all represent skill sets that cannot be easily or quickly replaced. For Israel, which already maintains a relatively small population compared to neighboring states, the impact of losing 8,000 soldiers is multiplied by the difficulty of replenishing such forces rapidly. Beyond the immediate military implications, the psychological toll is immense. Families, communities, and the broader public would be left reeling from the sudden scale of loss, raising questions about how prepared the military truly was for such natural risks. From a broader strategic lens, adversaries observing this disaster would likely analyze the vulnerabilities it exposes. Militaries are judged not just by their weapons and technology, but also by their ability to adapt to the environment. The sudden loss of a significant portion of Israel's fighting force could embolden opponents or shift regional balances of power. At the same time, such an event might trigger rapid reevaluations of military planning. forcing the development of new systems designed to detect and respond to natural disasters as quickly as they do to enemy threats. In terms of technical solutions, there are already methods militaries can employ to reduce the risk of flash flood casualties. Advanced weather radar, satellite imagery, and artificial intelligence-driven forecasting can provide earlier warnings of extreme rainfall events. On-the-ground sensors can detect water level changes in real time, sending alerts directly to units in the field. Training exercises can incorporate flood evacuation drills, teaching soldiers how to respond when terrain turns hostile. Engineering improvements, such as building elevated camps, reinforced drainage systems, and mobile flood barriers, can also mitigate risks. But these solutions require investment, foresight, and, above all, an acknowledgement that nature must be treated as a real adversary in military planning. When discussing performance aspects in this context, the focus shifts from military performance in battle to the performance of emergency response systems. How quickly could commanders move their troops to higher ground? Were communication systems robust enough to function in extreme weather conditions? Were vehicles and equipment designed to withstand or escape sudden flooding? These questions reflect on the efficiency of the military as a whole. A force's reputation is built not only on how it fights wars, but on how it safeguards its personnel in peace and crisis alike. Another unique feature of this disaster is how it highlights the interconnectedness of modern warfare and environmental conditions. For decades, the emphasis has been on technological superiority fighter jets, missile defense, cyber capabilities, but events like this show that even the most advanced militaries remain vulnerable to forces beyond human control. Nature doesn't discriminate between advanced nations and developing ones. It strikes wherever vulnerabilities exist. This serves as a sobering reminder that the human element in warfare is still tied directly to survival against the elements. The human side of the story is equally important. Imagine the chaos among soldiers as the waters rose, commanders trying to rally their men, vehicles being swept away, and units becoming separated. Survivors would carry the trauma for life, and such an incident would deeply affect recruitment and retention in the future. Soldiers join knowing they may face enemy fire, but being unprepared for natural disasters undermines confidence in leadership. Rebuilding trust within the ranks after such a catastrophe would be a long and difficult process. From a geopolitical angle, the repercussions extend beyond Israel's borders. Allies may step forward with aid, technology, and expertise to prevent future disasters. While rivals may view the weakened military state as an opportunity to assert themselves, public opinion, both domestic and international, would closely scrutinize how the Israeli government and defense forces handle recovery, accountability, and future preparedness. This turns a natural disaster into not only a humanitarian crisis, but also a political and strategic challenge. Looking at design elements, it becomes clear that militaries must evolve their logistical and operational structures to adapt to changing environmental risks. Camps should no longer be placed in areas where sudden floods can devastate them. Vehicles may need redesigns to allow rapid waterproofing or flotation capabilities. Communication systems should have redundancy to function even in extreme weather. Training programs need to prepare soldiers for non-combat survival situations, treating them with the same seriousness as battlefield maneuvers. These design improvements may sound unconventional, but in the face of disasters that can wipe out thousands in an instant, they may prove as essential as new tanks or aircraft. The uniqueness of this particular disaster lies not only in the staggering number of casualties, but also in the lesson it sends worldwide. It demonstrates that nature remains one of the greatest threats to human security, even in an age of drones, stealth fighters, and precision-guided weapons. No matter how advanced technology becomes, if troops are not shielded from the fury of floods, earthquakes, or wildfires, their effectiveness is compromised. For Israel, the tragedy of losing 8,000 soldiers in flash floods marks a point of reckoning. The Army, known for its adaptability and innovation, will likely reevaluate its doctrines. its infrastructure, and its risk management systems, other militaries around the globe will be watching closely, understanding that if such a technologically sophisticated force can be devastated by environmental disaster, then no army is immune. This awareness may well trigger a wave of reforms in how the world's armed forces prepare for the unpredictable, ensuring that soldiers are protected not just from enemy fire, but from the raw and unrelenting power of nature itself.